Today I want to talk to you about motivational psychology and how we can use motivational psychology in our daily journaling practice to effectively influence our mindset and behavior. What's the activity or topic you're curious about today? That's one of the questions Francesca Gino, a Harvard professor, used in one of her experiments. And she showed journaling practice on a few effective questions can, after a few weeks, significantly affect your mindset and behavior. She actually showed that journaling on a few questions can, after a few weeks, spark your innovative capacity, curiosity, and creativity. Employees who implemented daily journaling practice around these few questions, they displayed significantly higher innovative capacity and creativity at work after a few weeks. I want to talk to you about her question, what's the topic or activity you're curious about today, and how journaling practice around this question can help you become more motivated and curious. And I also want to enrich this question using further studies on cognitive framing. I want to show you how we can enrich her questions using studies on cognitive framing and how these can further help us understand and leverage this question. Actually be a bit more precise about her research and what she basically did a study where she recruited about 200 employees. The interesting thing was she divided the employees into two groups. Half of the employees, they received a text message at the start of their workday that read, "What's the topic activity you're curious about today," for instance. The other group, the other half, in contrast, their question was, "What's the topic or activity you'll engage in today?" She showed basically the participants in the first group where the emphasis was more on what's an activity or a topic you're passionate or curious about today. This group, they showed higher scores in questions assessing innovative behavior relative to the control group. This suggests basically that framing the questions in such a way really helped to spark their innovative capacity at work. She also included two other questions, but for now I would really love to focus on this first question, what's the topic activity you're curious about today, in contrast to framing the question in a way, what's the topic activity you'll engage in today. So this is her first building block. My personal takeaway in your daily journaling practice, ask yourself, what are you curious about today? What topic activity would you be curious about learning today? Instead of what do you have to do or what you have to engage in today. This seems to create a mindset shift in us and a behavioral change that will help us think more creatively and innovatively if we practice this type of journaling practice. Harvard Professor Francesca Gino, she's really a champion for curiosity in business. Developing curiosity among employees helps businesses thrive. Curiosity helps avoid biases and leads to better decisions. So there is less risk of making decision errors. Also, she puts a link between curiosity and creativity, and she argues curiosity fosters empathy and understanding, which reduces conflict and enhances teamwork. The team performance would improve. Curious teams share information more freely and they perform better. Francesca Gino, she really is a champion and an advocate for curiosity in business, and she puts all these great traits in business to more curious employees. So you've asked yourself, what's the topic or activity I'm curious about today? Great start. Now let's supercharge that curiosity with some powerful strategies. So the first topic on cognitive framing and how to ideally frame this question is gonna be shaping the topic in a way to find the sweet spot of knowledge. To feel as have you hit the sweet spot of knowledge. According to Wade, Shalene and Celeste Kidd in 2020, our curiosity is at its peak when we have an intermediate level of knowledge about a topic. Think of it this way. If you're a hobbyist cook who knows the basics, you might be curious to dive into gourmet techniques or exotic recipes. You know enough to feel confident, but there is still plenty left to discover. But let's look at the flip side. If you're already a gourmet chef, learning basic cooking techniques is also too easy, right? and you might feel bored. Or if you're just starting out in the kitchen and you try to tackle molecular gastronomy, it's just overwhelming. Here's a crucial tip. Define a topic that's not too narrow and not too broad. If it's too narrow, you might feel like you're already the expert, which can be uninteresting. If it's too broad, you might feel lost and not know where to start. Connecting with what you already know and your skills as an intermediate learner is key to maintaining that sweet spot where curiosity thrives. The next tool within the realm of cognitive framing is gonna be perceived usefulness. When you answer the question, what's the topic or activity you're curious about today? Try to frame the topic in such a way that you put a lot of emphasis on the personal and social usefulness in that topic. Dubey, Rachit and others in 2022, they presented a study on the impact of perceived usefulness and curiosity. Frame the topic in a way that you perceive it as useful. As we age, the perceived usefulness of information becomes increasingly significant in driving our curiosity. While younger individuals are more motivated by potential positive outcomes, older individuals and adults are more likely to prioritize information that can guide their actions and reduce uncertainty. People are more intrigued by topics they find socially or personally useful. For instance, in experiments, participants showed more interest in scientific topics when these were presented as having practical applications, such as a new discovery that could help understand cancer. I really enjoyed that they put an emphasis on both personal and social usefulness. We crave information that's practical and beneficial, not just to us personally, but also topics that benefit our team or community. We're social creatures. People get super excited about cooking techniques that can improve their health, feed their families more sustainably. Imagine learning how to prepare nutritious meals that help prevent common health issues. Think about the impact of zero-waste cooking. The collective benefit of reducing food waste energizes people because it helps the environment and our communities. Highlighting the importance and relevance of the information sustains your interest. Contrast that with topics framed with little emphasis on usefulness, like obscure cooking trivia. Knowing that the word soufflé means to blow in French, that the first forks were used in the Middle East around the 7th century, that ancient Romans used a fermented fish sauce called garum on almost everything might be interesting, but doesn't help you cook better meals. People are curious about information when they have low to moderate confidence in their knowledge and when the information is deemed important. This relationship creates a perfect balance where curiosity thrives, driving the desire to learn and explore further. So I personally think asking this question, what's the topic or activity I'd be curious about today, that's really an inspiring question to ask on a daily basis, to really push yourself to open up to new horizons, to stay engaged, to stay a lifelong learner. And on the other hand, using the studies on motivational psychology and cognitive framing to say, all right, what's the question I feel curious about today, and how do I feel would I personally advance? What's the perceived personal usefulness in that topic? And also, how do I believe, does this matter? Does this topic matter to society? So what's the social gain from that topic? So emphasizing these two angles can really help you. And on the other hand, try to be an intermediate learner. Try to narrow the topic in such a way in your daily journaling practice that you feel personally you can further increase your knowledge and you can become an expert, but try to build a bridge to your personal skills. So where you stand in your journey, and try to connect the topic in such a way that you feel you're an intermediate learner. This will, I think, really help you in your daily journaling practice to answer this question, what's the topic or activity you're curious about today, in a very effective way.